Hi, everyone. I'm Maura Black, a partner here at Chisholm Chisholm Kilpatrick. I'm here with Claire Babcock, an accredited agent at the firm. And today we're tackling a frustrating and often confusing topic, and that is VA overpayments. Overpayments usually come as a surprise to veterans. They can be incredibly stressful, especially when VA demands thousands, hundreds of dollars back from claimants.
Exactly. According to a recent NBC story, VA has incorrectly given veterans about $5 billion more than it should have in just the last 4 years. Most of this has been reclaimed from veterans, but for veterans who are living paycheck to paycheck, this can cause severe financial disruption. And lawmakers say that the problem is getting worse by the year. We're going to break down what overpayments are, why they happen, and what you can do if you receive a debt notification letter.
First, what we want to talk about is an overpayment can happen when VA believes that they paid you more than you were entitled to receive. This could be due to a number of things. It could be due to a retroactive rating adjustment, unreported income that VA discovers, dependency changes, school enrollment changes, or even just plain VA administrative errors.
So, some common examples include a veteran who no longer qualifies for benefits for a dependent but doesn't notify VA. VA awards retroactive benefits and then later changes the effective date. Or a veteran receiving a total disability rating based on individual unemployability or TDIU goes back to work without reporting their change in employment and income.
And if this happens, you're likely to find out by receiving a letter from VA with a proposal to change your benefits. Somewhere in that proposal will be a note or a line or two saying, in effect, that the change is going to result in the finding of an overpayment. You can fight a proposal concerning an overpayment in a couple of ways. Do you want to talk about those, Claire?
Sure. So once VA decides that a veteran has been overpaid, like Maura said, the veteran will receive a debt notification letter from VA's Debt Management Center. And this letter will list the amount of money that you allegedly owe, why the overpayment happened, and how to repay or dispute that debt.
And at that point in the process, you have a few options. You can dispute the debt if you don't think that you owe the debt to VA at all. You can request a waiver if you agree that you were overpaid but have an allegation to report that it was not your fault, and that paying the money back to VA would cause undue financial hardship. If VA denies the dispute or initial waiver request, you can appeal that determination, so you can appeal those denials. You can request a payment plan. That is, if you agree with the debt, but you simply can't pay it all at once. You could also submit a compromise offer if you're unlikely to ever be able to pay the full amount. So you could assert to VA that you can pay some amount less than the debt that they charge in the first place.
So if you decide to go with the option of disputing the debt, you can request a hearing within 30 days of the notice, and this will stop VA from collecting or recouping that alleged overpayment while they review your request for a waiver in a hearing. To request a waiver in general, you want to file that request within 180 days, and you want to demonstrate that this alleged overpayment is not due to any fraud or bad faith on your part, that you were not at fault in the creation of the debt, and or that repayment would be unfair or cause undue financial hardship for you and your family.
In some instances, individuals might not be sure why the debt is being imposed at all. And in those instances, you can also ask for a detailed accounting. You have a right to see how VA calculated the debt and what precipitated the debt. And if VA committed administrative error in that process, if you discover that through the accounting request, then VA is supposed to take the debt away, shift the burden away from any veteran or claimant, and just assume that debt themselves. So, in other words, not pass it along to a claimant or a veteran.
So, how can you protect yourself against overpayments in the first place? One critical step is to keep records. So, save every letter, payment, and form that you send or receive from VA. And even more important, report changes and be very timely with things like your dependents changing. If you, due to a death or a divorce or a child's aging out of being eligible for dependency benefits, you always want to notify VA of those changes as soon as possible.
Those are great points and really important points. It's definitely in your best interest to report any changes in a benefit status that you think that VA should know about. If you don't report those changes, you'll likely need to repay any debt imposed by failing to report them. But if you do tell VA about a change promptly, and if VA still overpays you, then that could be a situation of administrative error, in which case VA cannot pass the debt along to you.
And if this all sounds complicated or overwhelming, definitely contact a VA-accredited attorney or VSO. These cases can get technical fast, and there are several ways that an experienced advocate can help.
Exactly. So, for example, a VA accredited representative has access to the VA database called VBMS. That can give you a lot of visibility into what information VA has and why it's making the decision that it's making. So, that's a really important feature that might come along with retaining an accredited representative to help you through a process like this. And hopefully, no one out there is in a situation like this or will ever be in one. But if you do find yourself in a situation like this one in the future, we hope that this discussion has been helpful. Please like, subscribe, and share this video, and take care. We'll see you next time.